Welcome to the Whiskey Jug, the only whiskey show on the internet that believes the little horse toppers on top of Blantons come to life when you sleep. My name is Josh, and today we are doing the last glass review of the Blantons Single Barrel Bourbon. Delicious. Now, if you're not familiar with Blantons, they were the very first single barrel bourbon ever to be put out by the former head distiller of Buffalo Trace, Elmer T. Lee, who sadly has passed. But Elmer did release this back in 1984, and it was the very first of its kind. It was a premium bourbon put out by Buffalo Trace, and it was the first one to actually capture that single barrel idea, to actually take just a barrel and bottle it and sell it, so that every bourbon, every bottle, as long as they're from different barrels, were different. And this one in particular came from barrel number 269 on Rick 28 and was individually selected, filtered, and bottled by hand at 93 proof. So this is that's 46.5% ABV on this little guy. Really one of the first premium bourbons I ever had. Living in Utah, we didn't always have a whole lot of selection, shall we say. It's basically there was a couple of bookshelves in the liquor store that, like, one entire bookshelf was Jim Beam, and the others was Jack Daniels, and the other was Johnny Walker, and then the other, like, 2 or 3 remaining shelves was a smattering of whatever. And I remember the first time this actually showed up in the local liquor store, which is ran by the state, and me and a couple friends actually went and we each got a bottle, and I remember getting this home and feeling like, oh man, this is the first premium bourbon I've ever had. Like, this was, it felt like, you know, like pretty hot shit. Like, I felt like a baller putting this up on my shelf, and it was really, really an interesting experience to be able to try that. And ever since then, I've had kind of this love for this bourbon, but it is tough love because I don't grade on a curve. And that is, so we're going to get into this right now. So on the nose, there's a lot of spice. That's the big thing. There's that strong bourbon spice. It really comes through here. Caramel, maraschino cherry, cinnamon, vanilla, corn, oak, all those great aromas. It has a very classic kind of that Buffalo Trace essence to it. It's very, very wonderful to smell. On the palate, there's a really rich caramel, bourbon spice, citrus zest, cinnamon, vanilla, oak. The oak is a little downplayed in this one. I've had some of these single barrels in the past where the oak has actually come through a lot higher than it is happening right here. There's a little less of it in there. There's a little less of that essence, but it's still a really, really good solid bourbon. Corn, caramel, wood, cinnamon, a dark sweetness. When I first wrote the review a little while ago, I mentioned there's kind of a maltiness to it. If you've ever had like the rough stock pure malt, or even like a young single malt from Scotland, it had kind of that essence to it, but that's not the case anymore. As it's gone on its way to empty, that disappeared pretty quickly. That maltiness kind of disappeared around the quarter bottle mark, according to my notes. And from there, the sweetness got a little bit more evolved. There's a little bit richer, but overall, the entire course of this bottle, it stayed relatively similar. And speaking of relatively similar, when I first scored it, gave it an 89. And that's where I've decided it's going to stay as well for this one. Now, being a single barrel, this could actually change. The next Blantons I buy could come out to be a 95. It could be a 97. It could be a 99. It could be an 85. It could be an 84. I mean, it's the whole nature of it being a single barrel is that unless you get this exact same barrel, you're never going to have that exact same whiskey. Also, with that is if you find a barrel you really, really enjoy, then you want to go back to that same store and try and pull as many bottles as you can and keep them in your bunker, because you're never going to get it again. Literally, because that barrel, once it's emptied, it's empty. They don't blend different barrels together to get that signature flavor that they're going for with, their regular releases like the regular Buffalo Trace. So this particular one, I have, like I said, I have had Blantons that I would absolutely put in the 90s, stuff that has been just ridiculously amazing, but this one, it's still very good, still comes across very strong, and yeah, settles in at a nice solid 89. And with that, Whiskey Jug, Josh, Blantons, cheers.